that is not constantly being whipped into a frenzy, by the apostles who are like sheepdogs barking at everybody's heels, making, we have ways of making you like Jesus. This is a community that has caught something, and they've caught something together. And Peter preaches this message, and it says there's a whole number, thousands, that actually believed what he said. And what he said was, this not only can transform your life, but it will transform the whole world. And they so much believed it, and that they did it. And we read in the powerful passage in the end of chapter 2, how a deep sense of awe comes over them. They're captured by this thing. Well, actually, even before that, it says they joined, because they believed the message of Peter, they joined with other believers and they devoted themselves to learning, to sharing, to celebrating the Lord's presence with each other, to praying together, to looking at their stuff and go, I got an extra one of these. Anybody need a skateboard? Automatically, it's like, I'm just renting here. This isn't my long-term future. So it's just stuff. It just brought so many things into perspective. And these people were passionate in their unity and passionate in their mission. And you go, what was that? How do you get that? How do you keep that? You see, they were what I would call a visional community. They had one perspective. Their hearts and their actions of this entire group were aligned, not only with each other, but with God. Probably first of all with God, and therefore with each other. And so they had a common vision of God's themselves as a people. Their lives were intertwined and caught up in this grand adventure in which God was truly going to partner with them. And they believed it so much, they did it. They were what I would call a vision community. And a vision community has great power. You think of when was it? When did the Berlin Wall fall? When? 89? Remember those images? Did they have sort of action groups, Demolish the Wall International, or who did that? Well, we can argue there was many different forces. Colson argues that the church played a major role in all of this. But all of a sudden, a variety of small little fires of vision. People saw something past the wall. The world suddenly got bigger. The oppression began to break. And then those fires started to coalesce. They started to see something they could do together. And when they gathered by the hundreds of thousands in the streets, no army could stop that. It was the same in in the 80s probably with Cory Aquino in the Philippines. And remember people lying down in front of tanks. And they literally stopped armies. And that wall came down. And for that brief period of history, you saw the power that takes place when truly shared vision is accomplished. Now, of course, you look at the aftermath, and in Germany today, it's hard to sustain that, isn't it? You see tastes of it if you've seen the video of Martin Luther King and speaking at the Washington Monument and his "I Have a Dream" speech, or the other time where he goes, I've been to the mountain, and people listen. Well, you listen to him and you think, I think I can see it, right? This is a sight thing. It's something that you see with the eyes of your heart, and when a whole number of people see it together, it's virtually an unstoppable force. We had a very small taste of that in the early days of the Vineyard. I remember jogging in the rain in Vancouver on a November evening and listening to this tape by a guy named John. I didn't even know who he was. He was talking, that particular message was on casting out a demon. And he was just talking about the things that they were doing. And my heart just started to pump and beat. And I thought, there's people out there that do this. And they don't even have big hair. It was just so natural. It was just so normal. But he believed that somehow God had escaped. and was doing things. And nobody had managed to catch him yet and tame him. And we started to think, I've always wanted to believe this, but I never had the courage. I never knew that there was anyone else. I thought it would just be me alone. And we started to get this vision. We started making the drive to Mecca, Anaheim, California, 22 hours. Each conference was like 21 hours, 20 hours. Each trip got faster and more expensive. We used to long just to go down there and learn and try to discover, and because we thought God was there, and He was. And we'd hear these stories, and I remember one time Peter Wagner got up and he did this remember back, sort of leftover of the charismatic renewal, the old leg thing, And I always thought it was sort of bogus, like which one do you want longer? I mean, I can do anything here for you. But they would do the old thing of straightening the leg. And so he in this one ministry time, he said, God is going to straighten legs. He could have said anything. He said, God is going to grow your nose 5 inches longer. And we would have jumped right into that, and then realized, what are we doing? But we were so excited. We really believed that the kingdom of God had broken in and we could put our hand to it. We had a shared vision for this thing. And actually, Andy Park, who was our worship leader, I had a leg that was about 3/4 of an inch long. I mean, I knew I had a hip problem, and Joey had to hem my pants differently. And so, he did his thing. I said, now look, hands behind the feet, no pulling, because I don't want any tricks here. I was watching him to make sure he wouldn't do anything, because I wanted to see if this kind of thing could really happen. And then they just sort of prayed from the front, and Andy prayed. It was like somebody pulled my leg. It was the strangest feeling. I looked at him, but he had his hands on the bottom of my feet. Unless he had some kind of really effective chewing gum or something. And I looked at that, and we were so excited in those days. Everything was just like, what would be next? And I tell the story in my book, but that there was a small team of us, and we went into the restaurant for lunch, and it was like almost like open the door like some kind of SWAT team, like, like we just knew that probably God might be doing something, and so we sit down, and my friend goes, "Don't look now. There's a waitress behind the counter." Look. Yeah. I think she's got one leg shorter than the other. Ooh. And then what are we going to do? Well, we're going to have to heal her. Yeah. So he saunters over to the counter and he says, "Excuse me, ma'am. Do you have one leg shorter than the other?" I'm not making this up. If you've ever read Dave Barry. And she goes, "Yes." And she steps out, and it's 2 inches shorter than the other. And then we go, "Ooh." It's like crisis of confidence. We didn't know if God could do 2 inches. Like an inch, maybe, but 2 inches, like, that could be tough even for God, But he sort of caught himself, and he said, "Look, I don't want to belabor this. Make a long story short, God is healing short legs. So we're staying at the motel just across the road from the... If you will come over to the motel after your shift, we will pray for you and God will heal your leg." Shared vision does that to you. You get so excited, you lose all sense of what's appropriate. What kind of pickup line is that, So then we leave in the afternoon, we're thinking, who would come? So we actually had our wives out in the parking lot looking sort of really friendly and not sinister, kind of like, this is safe, And she came. She brought a friend along with her, but she came. It's like 10 o'clock at night, so we bring her into our hotel room. There's about maybe 6 of us there, and 3 men, 3 women, and we just explained briefly, you don't have to understand much of this. I said, but God is going to heal you.